When I was growing up, music was around the house. My parents are both musicians. My grandparents were musicians. I have uncles who are musicians. Music was just part of our world, and it seemed a very natural thing for me to participate in that.
My father was an organist and a choir master, and his life revolved around the church and planning the services, planning the music, and all three of my sisters back then sang in the choir. They're older sisters, so I was the younger brother. And I think it was since I was about 7 or 8 where I started as a choir boy. I just absorbed music. I took up piano a bit later, but I think it was the vocal experience which was certainly turned me on to the voice and perhaps ultimately turned me on to opera, for instance.
My brother started taking piano lessons when he was 4 or 5 and wasn't enjoying it tremendously. I wanted desperately to take piano lessons, and my mother made me wait until I was 6 because she was afraid once I started doing it, I wouldn't like it. And I remember when I finally was starting the piano, having found something that really worked for me.
Piano was what I majored in, basically. But I knew that I certainly knew I wasn't talented enough to become a concert pianist, not to mention the fact that I found it so antisocial and locking yourself away for hours on end, and somehow the whole orchestral life seemed so much more social, and yeah, so it began.
I think music is incredibly important, especially for children, as a tool toward being human, because it engages our minds, it engages our bodies, it engages our emotions. It's very much that Greek ideal of education, that it takes every part of us to participate to make this music happen. And as a result, we find a kind of discipline, a kind of personal and human discipline as individuals. And the other great thing about music is then you are also playing it with other people. So at the same time that there's this internal discipline that is musical and reaches into all aspects of our life apart from the musical, it's also about how we interact with others, who we are with each other in society, because you have to play together.
I feel it is a privilege to stand in front of the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, the Atlanta Symphony Chorus, because one is almost on a daily basis immersed in some of the great masterpieces of man. And good, this is specifically music, but whether it's a Ninth Symphony of Beethoven, whether it's a Mahler symphony, whether it's a Mozart symphony, in many ways, and there I get back to this whole language thing, this music, if it resonates within us, can tell us so much about ourselves, can tell us so much about life.
I can't imagine what I would be doing if I weren't a musician. I've always been so drawn to this and found such fulfillment in it that despite the fact that I have many other interests, quite wide-ranging interests, I always come back to this as the most fulfilling part of my life.